of different competitive exam, that is clinical trial. Clinical trial is most important topic, and in this clinical trial again we will see some other schedules also along with that, what are the conditions and everything we will see today. So the first thing is that schedules under drugs and cosmetics act. The drugs and cosmetics act topic is very very important, you have to remember that. So drugs and already I have mentioned so many times about that DNC Act 1940. So drugs and cosmetics are Schedule A. Schedule A describes what the application form and licenses types. Oh, sorry for the interruption. So Schedule A describes the application form and license types. Okay, one second, please. This one will be better. Yes. Again, Schedule B. Schedule fee for the fees of test and analysis in the central and drugs and laboratories and state drugs laboratories. So Schedule B is mainly describes about the what are the fees required for the different test in central drug laboratory, that is CDL, and state drug laboratory, that is SDL. Again, Schedule C will come. Schedule C contains the various biological products and their regulations such as serum, adrenaline, vitamins, and etc. Schedule D. Schedule D, list of drugs. See, D for drugs. So list of drugs exempted for the provision of the import of drugs. Schedule E. E comes for the poisons. You have to remember that. Schedule E, list of the poisonous substances and under the Ayurvedic and Siddha and Unani system. Schedule F. Already, actually, why I'm going so fast? Because already I have made another lecture on that schedules. Okay. So if you want to see that properly with full explanation, you can see that video. Now I will go first for only schedule up to Z. Okay, so schedule E for the poisonous substances, and schedule F is this contains the regulation and standards for the running of blood bank, mainly for blood bank. So you have to remember these terms. I will mention which one is important. Like schedule E for poisonous substance, schedule F for blood bank, schedule D for drugs which are for import of drug, schedule C for the various biological product. Biological product, what are they? Like this. Schedule B for fees mainly. Schedule F for the application form mainly. Okay, like that. Schedule F1 for the provision applicable for the production of the bacterial vaccine. So not only bacterial vaccine, along with it you can write here viral vaccine and other antibiotics also, different vaccine. Schedule F2 for the standards of surgical dressing. Schedule F for the standards of surgical dressing. Schedule F3 for the standards of umbilical tapes. Schedule F for the umbilical tapes. Schedule FF for the ophthalmic preparations. Schedule F for the ophthalmic preparation, you have to remember that. Schedule G, list of the drugs which comes under Schedule G. Simply Schedule G, when you will see G and H both are related to RMP. So RMP like registered medical practitioner. So Schedule G can be taken in the absence of RMP or any medical what it is called supervision. And Schedule H also can't be sell. Schedule H can be sell. So it falls under the Schedule H. It will be sold only in the presence of prescription written by RMP, that is registered medical practitioner. And Schedule G, the drug will be taken in the presence of any hospital authority or supervision or RMP. One second. So next we'll see after Schedule H. Schedule J. Schedule J contains a list of various diseases and conditions that cannot be treated under any drug currently in the market, and no drug may lead to claim that it can be treated with this disease. Okay. Schedule K. Schedule K contains various substances and drugs and their corresponding regulations. Schedule L1. L1, it prescribes the list of drugs that to be sold on the prescription only omitted. Schedule M. M is related to GMP, that is good manufacturing practices. So good manufacturing practices requirement the effective premises. Premises means space, area, and the plant and the equipments what are required, etc. for the manufacturing of drug. Schedule N, list of minimum equipments for the efficient running of a pharmacy. So what are the equipments required to run a pharmacy? That is written on the Schedule N. Schedule O, mainly for the disinfectant. Why? Because on the bottle of Dettol you will see a Dettol bottle like this. So you will see a symbol like this, O, which is cut like this. So this is the symbol you have to remember. O is indication of Schedule O, and it mainly contains the various requirement of the disinfectant fluid. That term is important, disinfectant fluid. So for disinfectant fluid you will see a symbol like this, O, that is comes under Schedule O. Schedule O1, provisions applicable to black fluid and white fluid and disinfectant. Schedule P, storage condition of drug. Or sorry, Schedule P, it is written wrong, not storage condition. Schedule P is for life period. Schedule P, P for period, life period. Life period in the sense what is the validity of the drug and what is the time when it manufactured, when it will get expired. Schedule P1 is the pack size. Schedule Q for the colors. See, colors, pigments permitted and used for the cosmetics and soap. Schedule R for rubbers like rubber, latex, condom, etc., intended for the single use and other than the mechanical contraceptives and other mechanical contraceptives. Schedule S for standards of for cosmetics. In cosmetics, Schedule S for cosmetics. Okay. And Schedule T for traditional drugs. So the requirement of the factory premises, plants and equipments and the hygienic condition for the manufacture of the traditional drugs such as Ayurveda, Siddha and Unani. Okay. Schedule U for the particular to be shown in the manufacturer diary. It is related to diary. So shown in the manufacturer record. Okay. Schedule B stands for the patent or proprietary medicine. Schedule X, a list of drugs falls under the Schedule X such as narcotic drugs and psychotropic drugs. Schedule Y, requirements and guidelines for the permission to import and to manufacture of new drugs and for the sale undertaking clinical trials. So Schedule Y is related to clinical trials. Now I will revise again. Okay, please repeat after me loudly. You have to focus. Schedule Y is for clinical trials. Schedule X is for psychotropics and narcotic drugs. Schedule B is for proprietary medicine and standard for patent. Schedule U is for records, and Schedule T is for traditional drug. Okay, such as Ayurveda, Siddha and Unani. Okay. Then Schedule S is for standards of cosmetics. Schedule R for rubber. Schedule Q for color. Schedule P1 for pack size. Schedule P for the life period. Schedule O for the disinfectant liquids. Schedule O1 for the poisonous provisions of the applicable and black fluid and white fluid. Schedule O is for the disinfectant liquid. And Schedule N for the minimum requirements or equipments for running of a pharmacy. Schedule M for GMP. Schedule L1 is for prescribed for the list of drugs to be sold on the prescription only omitted. Schedule K is for the contains various substances and drugs that are corresponding regulations. Schedule J, under the drug currently in market. Schedule J is for the disease, list of disease which cannot be treated. Disease cannot be treated. Okay. Schedule H is for the under RMP sold to be drugs to be sold under RMP. Schedule G, drugs to be taken under the medical supervision. Schedule FF for ophthalmic preparation. Schedule F3 for the umbilical tapes. Schedule F2 for the surgical dressing, and Schedule F1 for the bacterial vaccine, and you can also write viral vaccine. Okay. Schedule F is for blood bank, minimum requirements for the blood bank, or what are the requirements for standard for running a blood bank. Schedule E is for list of poisonous substances. Schedule D is for drugs attempted for the provision of import. Schedule C contains the biological products. Schedule B for the fees for test and analysis in CDL and SDL. What is CDL? Central Drug Laboratory. What is SDL? State Drug Laboratory. Schedule A is for the application form. So this is for all the schedule from A to Z. Now we will see the schedule Y. That schedule Y is very very important. Clinical trials. One second, please. So this schedule Y, that is clinical trial, is very very important, and you have to remember that. You have to understand and remember what are the most important points in that. Okay. So first of all, schedule Y is related to clinical trials. I told you few minutes ago. I have mentioned that. In that you have to remember all the section. Like section 122A is for application for the permission to import new drug. Application for the permission to import new drug. Section 122B is application for the approval and manufacture of new drug. Application for the approval to manufacture. Yes, A is for import, B is for manufacture. Section 122D is for the permission to import or manufacture fixed dose combination. Fixed dose combination is totally different. Fixed dose combination. In that section A is for import of new drug, section B is for manufacturing of new drug, and section D is for import or manufacturing, not and. Import or manufacture of the fixed dose combination. Section 122DA is for the application for permission to conduct clinical trials. To conduct clinical trials for new drug and investigational new drug. That is all about NME. NME means new molecular entity. Okay. So application for permission to conduct clinical trial for new drug or investigational new drug. So that is about section 122DA. Now section 122DAA is for the definition of clinical trials. Section 122DB for the suspension or cancellation of the permission or approval. Section 122E is for definition of new drug. Then we will see amendments. So what are the amendments in 2013 and 14? So rule 122DAB is for compensation in case of injury or death. So what are during the clinical trials? So during clinical trials you will do some test and everything. Clinical trial you will do on human being, yes or no? And it is also done on the animals, mainly rodents animals such as rats, mice, monkey, like this, guinea pig. Okay. So according to rule 122DAB, compensation in case of injury or death. And then according to rule 122DAC, condition of clinical trial permission and inspection. Rule 122DD is for the registration of ethics committee and requirement and guidelines for registration of ethics committee. You have to just remember all the rules and all the section. Next we will see the introduction for the clinical trial. So what is the introduction? Requirement and guideline for the permission to import or to manufacture of new drugs for sale or undertake the clinical trials. So this is all about Schedule Y. Schedule Y was introduced under the Drugs and Cosmetics Act 1940 to introduce the requirements for the countries to get the permission for importing, manufacturing and conducting clinical trials. What are they? Importing, manufacturing and for the conducting the clinical trials. So Schedule Y was assigned to or introduced under the Drugs Committee to get permission for what are the three things? Number one, importing of drug or manufacturing of new drug or conducting clinical trials on the new molecular entity. So what are the requirements and guidelines? Number one is application for permission. Second step is clinical trial. Third step is studies in the specific population such as different areas, childs, old people and mainly old men and young men, and also it is also done on pregnant women and all different specific populations. Post marketing surveillance, that will be come in step 5. Next, special studies BA BE studies. We'll see now. So what is schedule Y? How many steps are there? So there are normally 5 steps for clinical trial, and the name of that 5 steps are: step 1, that is trial 0, then trial 1, 2, 3, 4. So 5 steps are there: 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so you have to remember all this. First one, schedule Y, application for permission. In this, nothing are so important. The most important point that you have to remember is that one, form number 44. So application for the permission to import or manufacture of new drugs for sale to undertake clinical trials shall be made in form 24. You have to remember that one, form 24, accompanied with the following data in accordance with the appendix. So what are that? What are the data you have to accompany? So it includes chemical and pharmaceutical information, and also animal pharmacology data, and also animal toxicology data. Chemical and pharmaceutical information is also important. Along with that, animal pharmacology data and animal toxicology data is very important, because they will get the main important data. Why these clinical trials are done? This is done just to know these things now, to what are the toxicology data and what are the pharmacology data. To collect all this data, clinical trials are mainly done before manufacturing a new drug, that is before the new molecular entity. So what was the form number? The form number was form number 44. Next, you have to also provide human clinical pharmacology data, also provide regulatory status in other countries, and prescribing information. Again, you have to remember that form number 12. That form number 12 is also in form 12, to import the study drug for the examination and test or analysis. So for what is the use of form 44? Form number 44. Form number 44, see there. Form number 44 is for the application for permission to import and manufacture new drug. Application for permission to import, manufacture of new drug. And what is form number 12? Form number 12 is to import study drug for the examination, test or analysis. Study new drug for the examination, test or analysis. Next, we will see clinical trials. So in that clinical trials, you will 3 different steps. The first step is approval for the clinical trial. The first step is approval for clinical trial. So clinical trial on a new drug shall be initiated only after the permission has been granted by the licensing authority. And under what rule? Under rule number 21B. That rule number is important. Under what rule? Under rule number 21B. So clinical trial approval will be given by the licensing authority under which rule? Under rule number 21B. Next, all trial investigators should possess an appropriate qualifications, training and experience. They should have the appropriate qualification, training and experience. Okay, so form number 21B, rule number 21B. Okay, next, protocol amendment. It become necessary before initiation or the during course. These things are not important. Simply you have to remember these things, that all the amendments should be notified to the licensing authority in writing. That is important, in writing, not in type or in fax or anything, or in document form. You should inform all these things in writing, handwriting, along with the approval by the ethics committee which has granted the approval for study. So you have to provide these things. Okay, what are the responsibility of sponsor? The clinical trial sponsor is responsible for implementing and maintaining the quality assurance system. So just maintaining and implementing the quality assurance system to ensure the clinical trial is conducted and data generated, documented, reported compliances with the protocol. So responsibility for the sponsor is to implement and maintain the quality assurance. Okay, next we will treat the responsibility. Okay, standard operating procedure SOP should be documented to ensure the compliances with GCP. What is GCP? Good clinical practices and applicable regulations. So sponsors are required to submit a status report on the clinical trial and licensing authority. It is normal, come on, they will not ask it like this. Any expected serious adverse events occurring during the clinical trial should be communicated promptly within how many days? This is important. Within 14 calendar days. So within 14 calendar days, and along with that you will also see by the sponsor to the licensing authority and to the investigators. It is also important, participating in the study. So within 14 calendar days you have to submit or communicate promptly all the standard serious adverse effect. If any serious adverse effect is there, so you have to mention it, and you have to inform it to the investigators along with that licensing authority. Okay, next, responsibilities of the investigator. Now the one who is investigating all these things, what is the responsibility? Responsibility for the conduct of trial according to the protocol GCP guidelines. Okay, so SOP are required to document by investigators for the task performed by them. Not important. To ensure adequate medical care is provided to the subject. This is very important. Now, who are the subject here? If it is an email, then the subject will be rodents. If it is an email, then there will be rodents like rat, mice, monkey, sometimes chimpanzee also, and guinea pig. Okay, but if it is human, then it will be under either very young man or very old man. Okay, next, investigator shall report all the serious and unexpected adverse effect to the sponsor within 24 hours. Within 24 hours. Investigator will inform to whom? Investigator will inform to sponsor. When? Within 24 hours. So you have to remember that. Okay. And to the ethics committee that accorded approval to the study protocol within 7 working days. So within 24 hour investigator should inform that to the sponsor, and within 7 working days he should inform this to the ethics committee. Okay, so when 7 days, 24 days, 15 days, 10 days, all these things you have to remember, very important, these things. Next, inform consent. So what are the things you have to inform? The consent should be non-technical, like you have to inform in handwritten documents and understandable language. Investigator must provide the information about the study verbally and in written. Already I mentioned earlier, verbally and in written. Next, the subject's consent must be obtained in writing using an informed consent form. Legally acceptable representative. The patient information sheet as well as informed consent form should have been approved by the ethics committee. So who will approve the patient information sheet as well as informed consent form? So it will be approved by the ethics committee and furnished to the licensing authority. Next, we will see responsibilities of the ethics committee. Now, what are the responsibilities of the ethics committee? So the responsibility of the ethics committee is that to review and grant its approval to a trial protocol to safeguard the rights, safety and well-being of all trial subjects. So ethics committee should get document standard operating form. Ethics committee should get document standard operating procedure and should maintain the record. So this maintaining record by the ethics committee is important. Okay, and who will review and grant the approval? So ethics committee to trial protocol safeguard. Okay, next we will see human pharmacology phase 1. So the object of studies in this phase is estimation of safety and tolerability. So in phase 1, what are tested? In phase 1, safety and tolerability is tested. This point is very important. Please remember. In phase 1, safety and tolerability is tested. Okay. And phase 1 trial should be preferably be carried out by the investigator trained in clinical pharmacology. Phase 1 should be carried out by the investigator who are trained in clinical pharmacology. Then we will see phase 2. In phase 2, what are tested? In phase 2, the primary objective of phase 2 is to evaluate the effectiveness of drug. that is efficacy, effectiveness of the drug for a particular indication, that is for a particular duration of time and particular person, a particular patient, and like this. Common short-term side effect and risks associated with the drugs. Common short-term side effect is also observed in phase 2, but the most important is the efficacy, that is effectiveness of the drug. An important goal for this phase is to determine the dose and regimen for phase 3. So already we know the side effect, we know the efficacy or effectiveness, and also the safety and tolerability. If we know the tolerability quantity or tolerability value, then we can easily determine the dose. So that's why an important goal for phase 2 is to determine the dose for the dose and regimen for the phase 3. So what do you mean by dose and regimen? Dose is simply the quantity of the drug that to be taken, or the quantity of the drug that to be introduced into the body. But what is regimen means? It means the duration of time and the area, the premises, and the duration of time for which the treatment should be given or the drug should be provided. Next, therapeutic confirmatory trials, that is phase 3. In phase 3 is designed to confirm the preliminary evidence. Whatever we got, the toxicity studies, whatever we got, the efficacy of the drug, and what it is called, concentration, that is toxic tolerability and safety value, if they are true or false, they are correct or not, to confirm these things we will do the phase 3 trial. Okay, so in phase 2 whatever we got, that phase 2, that is effectiveness or efficacy of the drug, we will confirm it in the phase 3. Okay, next, these studies should be intended to provide the adequate basis for the formatting marketing approval. The studies in phase 3 may also further explore the dose response relation. This is very, very important. Dose response curve is also evaluated in which phase? Dose response curve is evaluated in phase 3. Okay, so use of the drug in wider population and safety and efficacy of the drug combination with other drug. These things are also, so I'll tell you in another table I have prepared. In that table it is written that which drug, or so which phase is done in small areas, in large areas, in wide areas, in different areas. Some steps are there that should be done in specific and limited areas. Some should be done in wide areas for getting the confirmation. Next, phase 4. Phase 4 is the post marketing trials. So post marketing trials are studies. These trials go beyond the prior demonstration. In that you will see one important point. That important point is about the old people. That important point is about the old people. That one, geriatrics. These things will be done in the post marketing trial, that is phase 4, geriatrics patient. Okay, so phase 4 is mainly done on geriatrics patient. So phase 4, post marketing trials. The trial go beyond the prior demonstration of the drugs for the safety, efficacy, and dose definition. Phase 4 trials includes the additional drug-drug interaction. So when the drug will be prescribed to a patient, after taking the drug, that patient after taking the drug, what is the side effect, what are the contraindication, what are the interaction with other drug. To get this review, we will phase 4 trials are done. Okay, so in that what will happen? Drug-drug interaction, dose response curve, and safety studies and trial design to support and use under the approved conditions. Mortality and morbidity studies and epidemiological studies. That means what are the losses or what are the toxicity that is being done by the drug. It will be, the information will be collected after the phase 4, that is post marketing trial. Now studies in special population. So what are the special population? Geriatrics, the very old people. Pediatrics, the younger people. Pediatrics, the younger people. Okay, and also pregnant and nursing women. Also pregnant and nursing women. These are the different population of people. Post-marketing surveillance. The subsequent approval of the product, new drug should be closely monitored for the clinical safety. It should be closely monitored. That means what will happen? Once you will go to doctor, if the doctor prescribes you any new drug, then he will tell you to go back to him after 6 or 7 days. Whenever people use, generally people doesn't go back to the doctor again. But if a person goes back to the doctor again after 7 days, then he will simply ask some questions like, did you see any side effect of the drug? Did you feel anything bad after taking the drug? Do you face any problem in your body? These are the clinical safety trials and closely monitoring methods. So that's why it is better to go to doctor if a doctor asks you to go to him after 7 days again. Okay, the applicant shall furnish the pediatric safety and update the reports submitted every after 6 months for the first 2 years. For the first 2 years you have to provide the information every after 6 months. So every after 6 months you have to provide the information for first complete 2 years. Okay, next, special studies or bioavailability and bioequivalence studies. We will study this one, bioavailability and bioequivalence, in the BPPK, biopharmacokinetics. We will study that properly and very well. I'll mention there that the step 5 of the clinical trial and schedule Y, I'll mention you there very properly. Okay, so next, appendix. Yes, these appendix are very important. I forgot to mention. You have to remember all the 5 appendix. These are the appendix. Some important parts. So some highlights of the schedule Y in terms of its appendices, which provide the guidelines to conduct the clinical trial are appendix 1. Appendix 1 provides the guideline to conduct clinical trial, import and manufacture of the new drug. Appendix 1A for grant of permission to import or manufacture of a new drug. Appendix 2, structure, content and format of for clinical study report. You can take screenshot. Appendix 3 for the animal toxicology, non-clinical toxicology studies. Okay. Next you will see appendix 4 for the animal pharmacology. Appendix 5 for the informed consent. Appendix 7 for the undertaking by investigator. Appendix 8 for ethics committee. Appendix 10 consent of protocol. Appendix 11 data elements for reporting severe adverse effect. Appendix 12 compensation in case of injury or death during the clinical trial. Okay, now data to be submitted along with the application to conduct the clinical trial or import or manufacture of new drugs for the marketing in the country. So these are the data you have to submit to the higher authority such as ethics community and higher authority. You have to inform this data. So take a screenshot. In that you will see introduction, chemical and pharmaceutical information, animal pharmacology, for the detail refer appendix, animal toxicology, for the detail refer appendix, human and clinical pharmacology phase 1, human and clinic exploratory trial phase 2 report, therapeutic confirmatory trial phase 3 report, study special studies report. Along with that you have to submit also regulatory status in the other countries, prescribing information report and sample and testing protocols reports. Okay, so up to this schedule Y, or you can say clinical trial, is completed. I have mentioned all the important points which are related to clinical trials. You can revise from the video, you can learn from the video, and if you want you can take the screenshot for main important like this. Okay, thank you for being connected with me. If you like the video, please do subscribe and share with your friends who are preparing for different pharmaceutical competitive exams, and keep studying, keep learning. All the very best. Okay, thank you. Okay, one thing I forgot to mention, that in the next lecture we will see the other important topics such as medicine and toilet preparation. It already completed. Yes, it is already completed. Pregnancy, MTP, medical termination of pregnancy, yes, it is also completed. Then now we will see the ethics committee. Or one second, okay, I forgot to tell you the table. See the table, this one, this table. There are 5 phases. 5 phases, but their name is phase 0, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4. Okay. So phase 0 is called microdosing studies, and it will be done on the healthy volunteers. Okay. Next, phase 1 is also done on healthy volunteers, but phase 2, phase 3 and phase 4 will be done on the patients. Okay, now what are the number of volunteers? For phase 1 there is no certain volunteers, but for phase 2 10 to 30 volunteers. For phase 1 10 to 30, for phase 2 100 to 300, for phase 3 1000. That means you have to add one more 0. 100 to 300, 1000 to 3000, and more than 20,000 to up to 30,000 for phase 4. And in phase 0, that is called microdosing studies. In this, 1/10th of dose is used for pharmacokinetic and pharmacodynamic data, whichever is least. Okay, but nothing, you have to remember these important names. Phase 2 is called unicellular studies, phase 3 is called multicellular studies, phase 4 is called post-market studies. Now, not unicellular, it is unicentric, I think. Yes, unicentric studies. Unicentric studies means it will be done in a specific small area on specific patients. But phase 3 is multicentric studies, and it will be done on wide area in different cities. Like phase 2 will be done on Delhi only, where the Central Drug Research Institute, CDRI, Lucknow. So it will be done on Lucknow or Delhi or any cities like this. But phase 3 will be done on different cities like Delhi, Chennai, Hyderabad, Bengaluru, like this. And phase 4 is done in all over the India or all over the country, you can say. Now, phase 1 is called maximum tolerable dose study. Phase 2 is called safety preliminary and efficacy study. Phase 3 is called safety and confirmatory efficacy study. Phase 4 is rare side effects. To know the rare side effects, phase 4 is done. Already I have mentioned that earlier. Okay. So up to this, clinical study will be complete. Schedule I will